podcasting, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Quest. It is. No, there's not an apostrophe there. It's 5-year mission. That's right. We're doing 5 and then we're done. It's 5-year mission to explore strange old games and hopefully some new ones. We should probably get to that. To seek out new games to boldly go where no game has gone before. How's that?
That was beautiful. I actually have a single tear running down my cheek right now. No, that was beautiful, man.
That was a real the theme was playing and I was like, when should I do something? And I quickly Googled Star Trek opening monologue.
You see, I had a real panicked moment when you used the contraction because I thought this was like your evil robot twin. I thought you were astute listeners will notice that Ben has never used a contraction before on this podcast. Yeah.
Go back, listen to all of them again.
Yes. And on multiple platforms if possible. Yeah. Please.
And hi, everybody. This is Quest. I'm Ben.
I'm Jess.
And this is a adventure game podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Star Trek, the 25th anniversary adventure game. I stream on Twitch, PS_Garrick.
I also stream on Twitch. I am Decaf Jedi.
And, have we ever talked about the fact that I have a Star Trek reference Twitch name and you have a Star Wars reference Twitch name? We've never had that conversation.
I think we should argue about it. No, it is kind of, I've literally never thought about it until this moment.
Yeah.
I've been calling myself Decaf Jedi for so long, I forget that it's a Star Wars reference. Sometimes I think it's just like, this is sad, but I almost think of it as like an actual nickname that I possess, more so than like a screen handle. It's not the case.
I jumped onto, because PS Garrick is not like obvious, like as obvious a Star Trek reference. And I jumped into somebody's, I forget whose Twitch channel, like they were playing UFO 50, and I just jumped into the comments, and the streamer, she just immediately goes, PS_Garrick, plain simple Garrick. That's from Deep Space Nine. I love that. And then I used my Orson Welles emote for my channel, and she goes, the French. And I was just like, you see, there's someone out there that gets it.
That's an insta follow right there. When you find that Twitch streamer who gets all of your obscure references, that's the one to follow.
It was she was Liz Star, I believe.
Okay.
Streamer.
Shout out.
But yeah, we have I'm plain simple Garrick from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and yeah, let's have a tedious, boring discussion. That's what people want to listen to, right?
Well, we technically call it a podcast. I mean, tedious, boring discussion is what it says on all of our like show notes. But like listeners hear this and they think that's a podcast, baby.
I don't even think anyone even really cares. I'm so tired. Is anyone animated anymore? Is there really anyone animated anymore by like Star Trek, Star Wars stuff? There's no, they just both have star in the name. They're very different things.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's someone like, there are those people who are still using like Usenet kind of news group stuff who are probably like in alt.starwars.sucks.jar or something, or .jar. And yeah, they're still debating this hotly over on the Usenet.
Yeah.
Is that Usenet or Usenet?
I always Usenet or Usenet?
Using me net. In Pittsburgh, it's
Is that what
Usenet.
Chico would have said from the Marx Brothers? Using me net.
Yes. And then Harpo would reach in his coat and pull out like his dog catcher's net and hand it to him.
Yeah.
No, we got this. No, we talk about the Marx Brothers a lot on this non-Marx Brothers podcast.
Well, at least twice. I was just listening.
That's more than most.
Yeah, because I was editing the Quest for Glory 1 podcast today. And so we were talking about that then. And so if I make, that's always a hazard to editing an episode the same day as we record an episode, is that I'm going to be also in conversation with that episode that I just listened to, because I just listened to for hours a conversation between us, and now I'm in a conversation again.
And all that animosity is just carried over.
Oh,
you're coming in hot. I can tell.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of rage. Yeah. That's why I came in so angry today, because I was just like, oh.
I was like, so what do you want to talk about? You're like, just let's do it. I'm hitting go. Let's just go. Yeah. And I was like, okay, Ben. Yeah.
So Jess, what have you been playing lately?
What have I been playing lately? I'll tell you what I haven't been playing.
What?
I quit World of Warcraft cold turkey. Now, longtime listeners, and by long time, I mean like 3 episodes ago or something.
Sure.
Well, no, I returned to World of Warcraft after 18 years away.
Right.
And had a whirlwind, romance with my new warlock character, Mukul Winran. I quickly leveled her up to the max level 80, and then I started to feel it. I felt it. It had its grips on me, Ben. It was tightening around my heart. I could feel myself being dragged in. Like, I'm all of a sudden starting to think, it's like, yeah, if I could increase my stamina by 14 points, that is worth 6 hours of grinding for this item. And I mean, this is a tale as old as time. I don't need to tell any of our listeners who've ever touched an MMO what happened to me.
And because there's such a nice patina on World of Warcraft, it is now such a machine, I assume, that is designed to keep you on that treadmill. Like, it's been going for all these years now, right?
Yeah, and they've even created like multiple levels of grind. It's like, if you don't like this grind because it's too hardcore for you, we have several other options for grinding that might be more your play style. And that's where they got me. Like, I'm never going to be like the elite in-game raider guy. But if you give me like just some simple solo content I can repeat every day and grind out some gear, I'm going to start doing that. And
you could be playing Quest for Glory 1 and just climbing the tree outside of the healers every day. You could just open that up every day.
It's never any better. Why wasn't that ever a Nick's Picks game for Sierra, by the way, just climbing the tree in front of the healer's house?
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Nick's Picks.
Oh,
Can you explain for anyone that doesn't, that's listening to this and is like, what is a Nick's Pick?
Okay, a Nick's Picks. We talk a lot about Sierra Online games on this podcast. Too much, arguably. But Nick's Picks were collections that Sierra released, little budget titles. I think they sold them for a few bucks, maybe in software stores. You could probably download them for free from Sierra's BBS. But they were collections of the arcade sequences from Sierra games.
Favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, these are notably the worst part of all these games. The idea that somehow they could stand on their own.
What Nick's Picks were there? Let's hold on. Nick's Picks, Sierra. I'm putting that into so Crazy Nick's software picks. This is, I'm looking at SierraGamers.com.
Okay, a reliable source.
We have King Graham's Board Game Challenge.
Yes, I think that's like some like Hoyle's Book of Games.
Yeah, it's probably a
stuff,
couple
right?
of the Hoyle games. It's checkers and backgammon.
Hoiled again. Is that something?
We have Roger Wilco's Spaced Out Game Pack, which I think
is the really good one.
Yeah, that's Astro Chicken, Ms. Astro Chicken, right? And like, those are guesses. I don't know.
Is there a pinball table in that one?
You might be thinking of Take a Break Pinball.
I thought there was a specific like Latex Babes pinball game.
That's in Take a Break Pinball.
Is it? Oh my gosh.
That's in Take a Break Pinball. Yeah.
Take a break pinball. Well, I'll take a break from trying.
Take a break pinball. I'm just gonna keep saying that. All right,
take a break.
I'm now on the Scum
Take a break.
wiki for it. This bundle contains 3 mini games from Space Quest 4. It's so, and actually this is incorrect, and I'm not going to correct it even though it's a wiki. I'm sorry, everyone. If you want to go fix this, you can. It says it contains, and Jess, you're the expert, so you tell me which statement in here is incorrect. This bundle contains 3 mini games from Space Quest 4, Miss Astro Chicken, the burger making mini game Monolith Burgers, and a mini game where you try to avoid rocks in your sand skimmer.
That, my friend, the final one, the rock skimmer, that's Space Quest 1 VGA.
What?
No, I'm telling you, you'd have to be a real expert. Now, granted, what if Roger used his time machine in Space Quest 4 to go back to Space Quest 1 VGA? We know he went back to Space Quest 1 EGA.
Right.
But, that's possible that could have happened within the timeline. Now, here's the thing. All of those are terrible. No, I want that back. Burger making is
awful.
Fine.
No? It's not. I mean, it's boring.
Yeah. Now, for listeners, you're assembling a burger on a conveyor belt. Yeah. It would have been more fun if at some point you could start stuffing half-finished burgers into your mouth, I Love Lucy style, to stay ahead of the conveyor belt. That's how I would have pulled off that game.
Yeah, there's nothing really to it.
When the talkie version, the condiments have funny little lines and stuff, so that's exciting. I mean,
so King Graham's board game challenge is checkers or backgammon, as I said. Leisure Suit Larry Casino is from Larry 5, the slot machine, blackjack, and poker. I never played Larry 5, so I can't verify if that's true.
Oh, you're really missing out.
Parlor Games of Laura Bow. And this is obviously from Hoyle because it has Yahtzee or Yacht and Dominoes. And then Robin Hood's Game of Skill and Chance. And these are from Conquest of Longbow. We have Archery, Sticks, which is combat, and Nine Men's Morris, which is fine.
Sticks is barely a game in that, right? Isn't it just you click a little? I guess everything you click a little bit on somewhere, but I mean, isn't it just nothing?
Clicking. I mean, I never play it because I just turned the difficulty all the way down, so I didn't even do the combat. Anyway, hold on. Let's go back. World of Warcraft. Any final thoughts?
I just had to quit. I had to quit. I think
is it uninstalled?
It's uninstalled. Subscription canceled. Subscription canceled, uninstalled. I don't want to place blame on anyone but myself. But if I had to, it would be my Twitch audience who really egged me on and seemed to enjoy those streams. And I did it for them. And look at me now. I'm a broken man.
Yeah, well, it happens. So what have I been playing lately? I recently so there's a game that I play, and this is a game that I hate. And according to Steam, I have 37 hours in it. I want to be
almost ready to write a
clear.
negative review of it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. This game just absolutely sucks. It's just awful. Have you ever played golf with your friends? Now,
no.
And I'm not saying have you played golf with your friends. I'm asking if you've played golf with your friends.
No, on both accounts. I only golf alone.
In any case, golf with your friends is a golf game that is mainly you should be playing it multiplayer, and it is all of the courses were designed by sadists. It doesn't I think the joke of the game is that it kind of sucks. I can't understand, and all of my friends agree with, but we've played it for hours because it's very easy to play.
Yes.
Like,
Ben, can I ask you a question about this game?
What's up?
Is it possible that I lied a moment ago and I have in fact played this very game with you at some point?
I don't think we've played this together.
I could have sworn maybe we streamed it at some point. Now, like, I'm looking at screenshots and I'm like, did I play golf with your friends with Ben?
Do you have it on Steam?
Oh, would I've had to have bought it? Let's
you
find out. Here's the answer.
It.
I'll get the answer. Go the G's, go the G's, go the G's, go the G's, go the G's. A Golden Wake.
You could also just type, search by name.
Gone Home. Yeah, there's nothing between Gold Rush, Golden Wake, and Gone Home.
So then you don't.
So I guess,
yeah,
no, I guess I don't have it. Sorry, I lied.
So I'm exaggerating somewhat, but it is a game that is just like it is not a good golf simulator. A lot of the holes are very cruelly and overly difficultly designed. It's the most fun if you turn on it's customizable, and it also has a ton of you can get community made levels, which are also insane. But it's best if you turn all the settings on to like crazy physics, and all the balls collide with each other and you control each other and cause trouble, and turn on like special items and stuff to change the other balls into like squares and stuff. And that is considerably, it's much more fun to play as a game that you don't take seriously. But like when I play it, all of my friends and I are just screaming at each other about how much we dislike the game, but we've played it for 37 hours. I've never played it solo. I've never opened it up and played it alone. And I want to be clear, there's never been a time when I've played it and I've been like, oh, this feels good.
Gotcha.
This has a good game feel. It's something I've never said.
Ben, how do you feel about golf games in general?
There is one golf game I love.
Yes.
And that is Walkabout Mini Golf.
Beavis and Butthead Bunghole in One. I'm sorry.
Way too fast. That is a pretty good answer. Walkabout Mini Golf, which is a VR game, which is extremely good. It's actually, in all the ways that I've described Golf with Your Friends as bad, Walkabout Mini Golf is good in all of those ways. It feels good. Like when you swing VR games have motion controls, because of course they do. And when you swing the club, the ball moves exactly the way that you want to. And all of the courses are made very thoughtfully. And they put out a new course every month or so. And the DLC, like the costs are very reasonable. I think it's like $5 per course. It's great. Walkabout Mini Golf is incredible. And they just released it on the iPhone, which I have no idea how that works or how well it plays, but it does have crossplay with VR people, so you don't have to play it alone, because only 3 people own VR headsets, and I'm one of them. I am one of the people that has a VR headset. I have a Quest 3.
Yeah, Quest.
Yeah. Jesus.
I'm a big fan of like Everybody's Golf, or what is Hot Shots Golf? I guess that's what it's called. The PlayStation series that's been around for several installments. Hot Shots Golf.
There was one of those for the Wii, right?
Maybe so. Maybe it crossed. I'm not sure. I was thinking it might be PlayStation exclusive, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. In any case, I've never played that one.
My favorite way to play it, back when I was in grad school and like slowly losing my mind from stress, I used to go to the Best Buy across town where they had a kiosk set up with it. And I would literally just like play it for 2 hours straight, staying in the Best Buy kiosk area and like trying to somehow regain some part of my sanity, and it really helped. I would switch between that and Britney's Dance Beat, the PlayStation 2 Britney Spears dancing game. So between the two, it really helped center me.
The other golf game that I love is the GBA Mario Golf. Mario Golf Advance, I think it's called Toadstool Tour.
Is that the one with like the robust story mode attached?
Robust RPG. That is exactly. It has this lengthy RPG. It just goes on and on. Like it was done. Oh, I forget the name of the like the second party studio, Camelot.
Yes,
it was done by Camelot. And they also did for the GBA the Golden Sun games, if you ever played those. And the thing about the Golden Sun games that I didn't particularly like about them is that, like, so those were like kind of JRPG type games for the GBA, or straightforwardly JRPG games. And the dialogue in them just went on and on and on and on, like just back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. It's just like, shut up. Like, just shut up. And so they did that for Mario Golf Advance. And for some reason, I found it much more charming. And I think it's just because the idea of, like, the joke of that there is this very involved plot for a golf game never got old for me when I played it. Just
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like finally seeing behind the scenes of the PGA Tour, because we know that there are like rivalries and romances and intense, skill building RPG elements to the real world of professional golf, and finally see that simulated with our favorite plumbers. Those two plumbers we can't get enough of.
It's just wild. There's just so much effort into it, and you're just like, why is there so much effort in this?
I love that anytime you stumble across that in a game, like when you find the like lovingly rendered thing that just did not need to be there. Like, to me, that is a very charming trait.
Yeah, and I don't think any other Mario Golf after that ever went as hard as that one.
Yeah, the recent Switch one did like a very perfunctory sort of story mode that wasn't super engaging, and I mean the whole game was kind of a bust at some level. But
the 3DS one was a similar situation. I remember getting that and being like, oh well, maybe it will be like, and I was like, no, it's just not like. Because the golf part is probably the same, if not better. But for some reason, I want the story. I want the golf story.
That's right. I mean, the Switch version adds like the mechanic of when you're playing, there's a mode where you can just like sprint to your ball after you hit it every time to like play faster golf. And I have to tell you, that's not an innovation in the same way that adding a robust story mode would be. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to sprint around a golf course.
It's
Let's not go.
It's just like yeah, it's like, yeah, we put our RPG team, like they weren't doing anything. Like we're in between two Golden Sun games right now. So we put them on the golf game. But like they're all pretty talented, so whatever, like they'll make the golf game, it will be great. And then they come back and they're like, here it is. Here's exactly what you wanted, a RPG golf game. And they're like, wait, what? No. We just wanted a golf game with golf in it. Just a normal golf.
Well, too bad.
Anyway, so that's why I've been playing golf with my friends. And
but as we established, not with me.
No, not with you. No.
You went to great lengths to prove that.
Yes, yeah. Had to pull you up, but enough of that. Enough of this.
Enough of this nonsense.
It's time for us to talk about
Demon World.
There it is.
Demon World.
Jess, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about Star Trek 25th anniversary, the point and click adventure game by Interplay, released in 1992. Now, there's also an NES version of this that is apparently also a point and click. Would have been great to talk about in our console point and click episode, but we didn't.
It has absolutely nothing to do with this game.
No, and there's like a GBA or a Game Boy version also that has nothing to do with this game. It was one of those like we like this title, 25th anniversary. We're talking about the point and click. That's all that matters.
Well, it's not even like we like this title. The Star Trek 25th anniversary, like there's a pinball machine too. And
yeah, it's like a multimedia.
Yeah, it was a big
event.
Deal.
Yeah, so we're talking about Interplay's point and click adventure game. One that we've played together. This is one that we streamed together several months back. And,
several months? I would say a year or two.
Well, that is several months. Just a lot of severals.
Sure. Fair enough.
Let's agree to disagree.
All right.
Or agree to agree.
I don't know what I feel now.
Good. That's compromise, and that's what this is all about. But no, this is a game that I really enjoy, and I mean, you and I are both Star Trek fans. I think that is fair to say.
Trekkers.
We're Trekkies.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. I thought it'd be fun to like fake a little argument there, but no, I don't think it would be.
No.
How did you get into Star Trek, Ben? I don't know if we've ever had this conversation.
We might have talked about it when we streamed these, but that was several months ago. So
well, I would say a couple of years, maybe.
So when I was a kid, that would be when. Like when I remember TNG being on the air when I was a kid. And I would pick up an episode here or there of TNG, but I think like when I was youngest, which was when like because TNG goes off the air in what, 1994? So like I was still not allowed to watch TV after like 6 or 7 o'clock at that point. So I would only catch it if it was like on in an afternoon on a Saturday. Anyway, so I was aware of it. It was something my older brothers liked more than me. But I did watch TOS reruns when they would come up in syndication. And so I have happy memories of and not specific memories of any episodes or anything like that, but I loved watching TOS episodes as a kid because I loved Bones.
Oh, that's a good pick for a kid.
Yeah, and I've started to notice like kids, some kids at least, and certainly me, I always gravitated towards the grouchy character. Like I always gravitated as a little kid to like the character that's like, I don't like that. That was always my favorite character as a kid because I also would watch. I was really into I Love Lucy as a kid. I got super into I Love Lucy, and my favorite character in I Love Lucy was their neighbor and landlord, Fred Mertz.
She was like anything that Desilu Studios did. It was like
I was a Desilu head.
Yeah.
But so it's funny because it was like I was Star Trek cognizant. I no specific memories of the TOS episodes. I just kind of enjoyed watching it when it would be on. But I wouldn't call myself a Star Trek fan as a kid. And then it was I became a Star Trek fan in kind of a backwards way, which is that I became an enormous and hardcore and still am fan of the Battlestar Galactica remake in from the 2000s.
Yeah.
And I was so hard into that show. Like I love that show so much. I adore that show. And then when I was watching it like between seasons, because those cliffhangers were so like deadly.
Oh, they're brutal.
Yeah. I was like, well, I gotta get more. I gotta get more. And so it's like, well, like the showrunner, Ron Moore, and a bunch of the writers are all Star Trek Deep Space Nine guys. And this show shares a lot of themes with Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So maybe you should watch that. So I was like, okay. Then I watched Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And then I was like, well, all right, I'm done with Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and TNG and BSG hasn't come back yet. So I guess I'll watch TNG now. So, excuse me. And so I went back and I watched all of TNG. And then I was like, all right, that's great. And then then I was, by at that point I was
You're hooked.
like
You're 14 seasons in. That's
like,
probably a Star Trek fan at that point.
Star Trek fan, and so there you go. A very long-winded explanation.
That's fantastic. I had no idea. Like, that's fascinating to me that you backed into it from Battlestar Galactica. That is, and I'm guessing it's timeline a little bit. I mean, because for me, like, I was certainly a Star Trek guy who checked out Battlestar Galactica largely on the pedigree of Deep Space Nine. If anything, I was kind of coming the other direction. It's like, man, I love Deep Space Nine. I've got to check out. That's just because I'm so much older, probably. I try to think back on this myself. Like, how did I get into it? And I can't remember. I don't know if my timeline may be a little reversed here, but the way I think I remember this is my first memory of Star Trek is watching Wrath of Khan on cable with my dad. And mostly because the SETI ill slug scene with Chekhov, like, deeply traumatized. I probably watched this when I was like 3 or 4 years old. What was it, 82? So it had to have been 5 or 6. And that just terrified me. I think I had nightmares about that for years. Not too long after that, I started watching, talk about weird ways to get into Star Trek. I started watching reruns of the animated series on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. I mean, it was like the animated series. Star Trek
was the animated series. There's people, you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was on Nickelodeon. I was fascinated by it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
It's also fine.
It's not bad.
There are a couple really good episodes.
Yeah, there are a couple of really good ones, 5 or 6 okay ones, some real stinkers.
So it's about on par with TOS.
Maybe slightly better.
Or
really any Star Trek, mostly. Yeah, no, but I loved that as a kid, and then started occasionally catching TOS. My dad had been a huge fan of TOS during its original run. Like, he had been a tune in every week, religiously watch TOS as a kid himself. So like, he was great. Yeah, he was a longtime fan. And we got into, my whole family, my mom, dad, and I all got into TNG when it hit the airwaves. It was appointment television for us. It aired at 7 p.m. on Saturdays.
That's great.
And it was like a we rush home no matter what we're out doing on a Saturday, because we aren't going to miss TNG. So
I love this.
Yeah, and we kind of watched that all the way through. I mean, I guess I left for college in '95, but basically all the way through high school. Like, just every Saturday night that it was on, it was absolutely had to be there for TNG, and fell in love with it. And then I went straight to DS9. I had in my dorm room as a freshman a big Deep Space Nine poster. It was just a poster of the station with the logo floating out there.
That's cool.
I was a very cool college freshman, as you can imagine. Skipped Voyager.
Might as well put up a sign that says, girls not welcome. And I'm not saying that girls don't like Star Trek. Don't send us an email about that. But you can send us a nice email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com.
But no, I mean, it was such a part of my childhood. And yeah, my dad was always, now I think he fell off completely. I don't know if he's watched Star Trek since the Next Generation. I may have convinced him at some point to watch the J.J. Abrams reboots, but I've stuck with it. I mean, apart from Voyager, I think I have seen nearly all of televised Star Trek.
What's really funny is I have recollections of watching both Caretaker and Emissary. which are respectively the Voyager and Deep Space Nine premieres. Because they were big events.
That was an event
like
back
they were
then.
huge television events, and I probably would have watched Voyager as a kid if I knew when it was on. The problem with like well, actually no, that was on UPN at that point, or Voyager was on UPN. But yeah, like I wasn't allowed to watch TV after after a certain hour as a little kid, so like that kind of kept me out from a bunch of shows. And then also the Borg would have scared me shitless.
The Borg, people don't talk about this. The Borg are scary. They're robot men.
I remember seeing First Contact as a teenager, and it was terrifying.
So let's talk a little bit about Star Trek 25th anniversary. Again, we're talking the version originally released in 1992, released on floppy. Not long after that, a CD-ROM version comes along. That thing is the definitive version.
Later,
2 years later, it's 2 whole years.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious! So several months later.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, this is the definitive version because, of course, it reunites the entire.
Right, hold on. I don't know. I don't know if I could say. I don't know. If I can say how definitive it is, because it does reunite the entire cast, but
breaks the final mission.
Well, it does do that, but like, you know, like their performances leave a little something to be. I've got a couple examples here. Would you like to hear?
Some are more audibly tired than others. Give me a good one. Give me something good to work with here, Ben. Give me a sample.
Hold on.
Captain's log, stardate 6051. Had trouble sleeping last night. My hiatal hernia is acting up. The ship is drafty and damp. I complain, but nobody listens.
Star Trek 12. So very tired.
And now for a real one.
Is this really the time to catch up on your reading, Doctor?
Now listen here, you pointy-eared...
Gentlemen, I think we have more pressing problems.
Whew. We get 3 very different, like you could not get 3 more like different energy levels there. I mean, what is it? Like, you know, McCoy's supposed to be the heart, Spock's supposed to be the mind, and Kirk is just supposed to be bouncing between the two of them. In this case, I would say Spock.
Well, let's hear that again.
Yeah.
I want to hear that again.
Is this really the time to catch up on your reading, Doctor?
Now listen here, you pointy-eared...
Gentlemen, I think we have more pressing problems.
Wow. I mean, God loved DeForest Kelley, first of all.
Uh-huh.
You can't say that any more clearly. This game is not his finest work.
I think this is the last time that they all were this in Judgment Rights, which I believe they recorded at the same time.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which is the sequel to this. I think this is the last time, not counting the fact that they got the cast back together for The Secret of Vulcan Fury, which was supposed to be the third game of this.
Yes.
But anyway.
Now, what's fascinating to me, though, like DeForest Kelley's bones is consistently that. Like he's clearly having a rough time in the recording booth. I feel like Leonard Nimoy's
great.
He's great. He's sedate, but that's like the deal. Like, I mean, he's not
great, but he's sedate.
That's right. That's what they always say about him. What's fascinating is William Shatner, because, and I think this is the case with Star Trek throughout its history. Unlike, you know, old Star Trek, where if he liked an episode, he would bring his A game, and if he didn't, he'd kind of phone it in. Here, it is on a sentence-to-sentence basis. It almost feels like whether he cares about this, whether he is in a hurry to get to a lunch break, or whether he has open disdain for the producers who are making him record these lines. He's all over the place in terms of his energy level and his engagement with it, which I kind of love.
Yeah, It takes me out a little bit. Like, it's incredible that they got the cast, and I'll note, and I don't have any clips from the rest of the cast, like Nichelle Nichols. She like she's great. All of the like kind of secondary cast. I think I don't recall how much Scott he gets. I don't think he gets very much.
When he does, he's good though.
But
I mean,
but the
Doohan
main,
has more experience with voice acting. He did a lot of voices on the animated series.
The main three are a little tired. Leonard Nimoy puts in the best. Here's another clip of the three of them talking, which I think is a little better.
I might have known there weren't any demons.
We all have demons of our own, Bones. The ones we can't confront are often the hardest to deal with.
These demons were based on fear, Captain, a human failing.
You know, like it's like a little better.
I thought you could give, if we could run that back, before we do this, think about this. What if you gave Bones's lines to Max and Kirk's lines to Sam from Sam and Max, and then reimagine this little bit here? Let's hear this one more time.
All right. There is, wow. That's great. All right, let's all right, everybody close your eyes and place yourself in Sam and Max season 4.
I might have known there weren't any demons.
We all have demons of our own, Bones. The ones we can't confront are often the hardest to deal with.
These demons were based on fear, Captain, a human failing.
And let's also bring up that the sound mixing, like they just felt the need, and this is because of the multimedia era. They felt the need to really just bludgeon you with all the space sounds. I have another clip here of that.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have read your report on the problems at Pollux 5 and evaluate your performance at 100%.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Could you take your earpiece out and repeat that, please?
Like, they're playing at the same time. So dialogue between William Shatner and one of the like non star cast, who are all great, and I'll play a clip that really underlines that later. Then a million different sound effects all queued up. Then a little like triumphant you know, like da 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 da, like all on top of each other. And so if you're listening to the clips in this, like you're listening to, say, you know, the great DeForest saying
Demon World,
and you're wondering like why it sounds like he's
in the bullpen at the Chicago Tribune circa 1920.
Yeah, like he's sitting there waiting on an important like stock ticker update. Like, you know, they were just excited.
Standard Oil.
Yeah, they were just excited to get all of those WAV files on a CD. I went on YouTube. I found what those sound effects sound like on the disc version, and let's see if you think this is an improvement, Jess.
My God. Ben, that's audio poison. What did you just do to our listeners?
Like everybody stopped.
Somebody swerved off the road on their commute to work. It's like,
awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
No, I mean, yeah, you have the sound mixing issues. You have the fact that like there is wild variance in the quality of the vocal recordings too. It's like, yeah, we brought Shatner down to LA and got him in the studio, and like Leonard Nimoy called in on his 1992 car phone on the drive to the airport or something and gave his lines at times. It's all over. I mean, production, but again, to me, even if the voices are all over the place, I mean, it's the voices of the original cast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You love it.
It is like, even William Shatner in his most bored, which you get in some of the, especially in some of the later episodes, it's just nice to hear him.
That's right.
It's just nice to hear him. Even though he's just he's just kind of,
he's shattering it up. I mean, he's doing what he does. I mean,
well,
how are they going to learn to write better scripts if someone doesn't eventually tell them that they've given him garbage material to look like?
It's also, I mean, I'm sure that it's like John Rhys Davies when he got the script for Quest for Glory 4 to read all the narrator dialogue. Was like, this is like reading I think he said like it was like reading a phone book. Like like he's just like, oh, it's the 90s. It's like the early mid 90s, and everyone is getting really excited about multimedia. We gotta get in on multimedia. This is the future. This will definitely be the future. This is what's going to happen.
And nobody is more excited than Hollywood's once famous character actors.
Yeah. And so like you have all of these projects where it's like, yeah, of course we're going to get the whole cast, and of course we're going to get John Rhys Davies to read like a phone book to be the narrator in Quest for Glory 4, and we're going to do all of this, and then it's just like, oh, and people aren't as like
I would love to know if John Rhys Davies even moved the needle on sales for Quest for Glory 4. Totally unrelated, but I just wonder if even was that
he gives it an air of
he's
class.
Great. He's great. But I wonder if he sold any copies.
I doubt it. People are like, oh, it's Sala.
This guy would make a great Gimli. I heard that Peter Jackson was a huge Quest for Glory 4 fan. That's how he ended up casting him in Lord of the Rings.
And cast him twice because he was Treebeard.
That's true. Yeah. He liked him so nice, he cast him twice, as they like to say.
That's what they like to say in New Zealand. Anyway, you were
New Zealand, yes. Let me ask you this, Ben. I'm curious. What makes a good Star Trek point and click game? And is Star Trek 25th Anniversary one of those?
So I'm going to say right off the top, the best decision that they made with this game is to break it into episodes.
1000%.
This is broken up into 8 episodes, which is insane. Should have been less, but that they did 8 is very impressive. Is it really 8?
I think
Let me take a look here.
I mean, is one of them like a
7.
tutorial?
It's 7. It's 7.
7.
7 with, I think there's like a little epilogue maybe. There's 7. Even so, that is still a lot. The disc version, the 7th is tiny, and then they expand it and kind of break the game in doing so with the CD version. Anyway, the best thing they did was make it episodic, and each episode they strive to kind of hit on a different Star Trek flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an episode where they go to like a planet where someone claims to be like an Aztec god.
Yes.
There's an episode.
They help some colonists.
Yep. There's an episode like where there's like Klingons. There's an episode with Harry Mudd. There is an episode like there's
an ancient computer that runs a planet.
Gonna say, yep. There's like a computer planet one. There's
Harry
one
Mudd
where the ship is hijacked. There's an episode where the simple colonists of a planet believe that their planet is being haunted by demons. That episode's called
Demon World.
There's all of these, like it has this wonderful breadth of like it really kind of covers, and it also is trying explicitly to ape the feel and the narrative style of the 60s original. So like the fact that like someone believes that they're like an Aztec god or something, like they're not afraid to be like hokey, and it doesn't seem to me like they overshoot it. It feels like it's right on the money, which is very impressive. They never try to it doesn't feel like it's ever tries to be too cool. You know what I mean?
No. And it at no point is it doing this like in a we are poking fun at how goofy the original I mean, it's all done with a very straight face. I mean, they have the gag of like clever ways to kill red shirts,
Yeah.
but that's not the focus. It's not winking at the audience when it's giving us these classic Star Trek tropes. It is presenting them very lovingly, I think.
And the music is like they grab stings from like, you know, and do MIDI versions. Like here's a clip. You know, like that is a music cue that they used a lot on the show. And so
it puts you in the zone, man.
They have it. They break it into these episodes, none of which are particularly long. Some are a little longer than others, but they're all nice little snack-sized episodes. They don't overstay their welcome. They like, and they there's a nice variety between them, which is one of my absolute favorite things about like Star Trek, and certainly TOS, which is all over the map.
Yes,
like, is a very like you know, the tone can be all over the place week to week, and that's one of its strengths.
Yeah, as a distillation of that wildly varied tone, I think it's successful. Like, I mean, if you had to take all the wild stuff from 3 seasons of TOS, I think they've done a pretty good job here of turning that into 7 little episodes.
Yeah. Is what would you say? Like, what's your answer to this?
You know, I think for me, like in my head, point and click adventure feels like a very natural fit for Star Trek as a property, especially like TOS. I think, you know, having the sort of 3 main characters of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and fitting them into a point and click adventure game just seems like such a good idea. I'm surprised we didn't see more of it along the way, or haven't seen a return to this. I mean, because really we get this, the sequel Judgment Rights. Later on with the TNG cast, we get a final Unity.
Yep.
But, and I guess they're like some of the earlier like Transnensium Challenge or whatever that strange.
And they were trying to make like they recorded a follow-up to these two called which I mentioned earlier, The Secret of Vulcan Fury, and they even had DC Fontana work on that a little bit.
That's right. And Sierra composer Ken Allen was a big producer on that project, and I think claims to still have the recordings, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he said that. Really? And we're going to play them for you exclusively right now. Ben, hit that button.
Here we go.
Demon World.
Yeah, that was all that DeForest Kelley wanted to say. When he got in the booth, they said, it's like, here are your lines. He's like, I want to talk about Demon World some more. And he's... But no, this is, to me, it feels like a good fit. And I think that it works mostly here. Like, I'm not sure this is a great adventure game as just like an objective. Are the puzzles wonderful? A lot of these puzzles are very functional. They're very much like, you know, follow the process and do what a Starfleet officer should do here. Maybe more so than figure out creative solutions to problems using unexpected means to get there. But
well, the game is one of its nice little innovations, but then this becomes a problem, is that the game gives you like multiple solutions. Like you can screw up
Yes.
doing it and still win, which if you were able to hear through that garbled sound clip earlier where there were like 50 sound effects happening at once, like you get a grade at the end of each episode on how well you did it. It's just that if you don't, which I think is great. I really like that too in the game. But there's also the problem of the fact that the if you like don't get a passing grade on each of them, then like it makes you like it penalizes you on like the battles as you go or something like that.
There is a penalty system. And Ben, is this the time to talk about the battles? Oh, I mean, this is the knock on the game. If you're listening to this and you've played Star Trek 25th Anniversary, you're saying, when are they going to talk about the space battles? Because the ship-to-ship combat in this game is dreadful. Ben, it's dreadful, right? You don't disagree with me. Or you can't disagree with me.
Yeah, it's clunky and it doesn't feel good, and like it's not intuitive, and the like there's just a ton of like different controls. It
doesn't feel like a Constitution class ship flying around space. It feels like Wing Commander,
right?
Like the worst version of Wing Commander ever.
Yeah, because the Enterprise doesn't. It is like a large ship. It is
to a
not,
barrel roll, Sulu.
Yeah, like they're. Again, yeah, you said it correctly. It has like a Wing Commander type like maneuverability to it, and in Wing Commander, those are all single, like they're small fighter ships. Is like it does not make sense that the Enterprise is swooping and swinging and firing. Also, like it's antithetical to Star Trek that they constantly get into like shooting space battles. It's just not what the show does.
No,
ever.
No. Yeah, it never has for budget reasons, and later I think philosophical reasons. That's just not what the show is per se. And I know that they're here because you've got a video game up your video game, and I'm sure it's the codename Iceman theory of, we'll not only sell you on this great adventure game, but we'll give you the bonus content of a fully featured simulator built into it. Yeah, and
I bet they were like, this is a benefit. This is something that they'll love.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm trying to think of games prior to this. It's like, had you gotten to fly like a first person Enterprise prior to this game at any point? I mean, this one does it horribly, but I bet for a lot of people that felt like a dream come true until they realized they were on their like 14th try and they still haven't beaten like the first space battle. I cheated when we played this together. I cheated and downloaded a trainer to get through some of the later things that basically just disabled the AI, a little file that you could put in your directory, and disabled the AI for the enemy ships. And even then, it was kind of tedious and tiresome just to get myself pointed at them long enough to unload some torpedoes on them.
And fortunately, in judgment rights, you can just turn them off.
Yeah, I mean, this was the knock, I think, at the time. Every review was just like, oh, this is a charming game. It's a pleasure to to see all these characters we love and later on hear them in the CD-ROM version. But yeah, the space combat really just takes it away.
Yeah, and that's like between, I think, like every episode or something like that. Like they're frequent. And there's a big, extremely difficult one at the very end. Yeah.
I think that there's at least one along the way you can talk your way out of, or some that if you handle conversations with like Alassi pirates who show up a lot in this game, or Klingons, where maybe you can avoid a space battle. And at the end, you get to, I mean, spoiler alert for the final episode in Star Trek 25th Anniversary, you eventually get to fight a replica Enterprise, which that's every fan's dream, is to blow up the Enterprise with the Enterprise.
Yeah. One more thing on the performance of the actors. I want to play this other clip, which is this has the actor who played Harry Mudd passed away well before they made this game. So they have someone come in, and I think he does a pretty decent imitation of TOS Harry Mudd, not Discovery Harry Mudd. It's not Rainn Wilson.
Samuel Carmel, Robert Carmel.
I think it's Robert Carmel.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, listen to this.
Harry, I have to be touched in the head to have anything to do with you. How's your lovely wife, Stella?
That was a dirty trick, Kirk. However, you'll be glad to know I let bygones be bygones.
Like,
that's pretty good.
The guy doing Mudd is really putting a lot of mustard on his hot dog, if you understand what I mean by that. Like, he's just like, and then like, it really calls out the contrast between these two actors. It could also be that like the producer was perfectly fine to tell like whatever like session voice actor they got to do Harry Mudd, hey, can we do that again? Hey, could you change it like this? And then like but knew better than to say anything to Shatner. Probably
you don't want to sabotage Shatner's voice performance.
It was during Judgment Rights that famous argument was.
Oh, was I always thought it was TAS. I always thought it was the animated series.
Just for reference, there is a clip, you can find it, where say it again, please.
Sabotage.
Yeah, where Shatner says sabotage, and producer is like, hey, can we take that again? And Shatner says, that's how I say that word, and don't direct me like that, you sicken me.
And it's wonderful. I mean, part of me thinks like maybe that's a little tongue in cheek, but also it's like, no, maybe that's just Bill Shatner. Like he's getting the full shot.
I don't think that's tongue in cheek.
Look,
based off of the fact that a lot of the other members of the cast don't love him.
Well, you know who does? Me. And I've patterned my entire life on Captain James T. Kirk, and I will hear nothing ill-spoken about William Shatner.
Anyway, so what else is there what other things did you want to touch on?
Well, I was curious. I mean, do you have a standout episode of this bunch? I mean, Demon World, obviously.
I do like Feathered Serpent.
Yes.
The fifth one. That's a Klingon. I'm reading Wikipedia now. A Klingon battle fleet is about to cross into Federation space in pursuit of a quote war criminal. The Enterprise must find this war criminal in order to prevent a war. I always love that. I always love Klingons. I also love the fact that the Klingons in this, if I recall correctly, they're the TOS guys in smocks.
Yes, absolutely. It looks very good.
Yeah.
No, that's a big plus. You know, that's a really strong one. That was high on my list too. You know, I'm also thinking I love the Mudd episode just because I'm a big Harry Mudd fan. The episode itself is one of the, I think, less fully baked ones at some level.
That's I almost said that because it is a lot of fun that they bring in Harry Mudd. It's just that like the rest of the episode is kind of meh. I thought
I like Hijacked.
Hijacked
like
is
anytime you get a hijacked Starfleet vessel, that's always a fun story to play with, and they kind of go back to that well in a different way for the final episode where again someone's built an evil duplicate Enterprise, which I would think just the resources necessary to do that have to be stupendous. Even, I mean, I know the Federation presumably is post scarcity, but you know, if you're just some dude building your own enterprise to go out and raid colonies and stuff, how is the cost margin on that making sense? Ben, I mean, like, how much do you think it costs to build an enterprise in 2024 dollars?
Oh, how many to build a whole enterprise?
Now you've got the bridge, you got tuna cells.
Yeah, tuna cells.
Yeah, you've got tuna cells.
Right.
You're going to have turbo lifts.
Oh, turbo lifts. Yeah,
chairs
yeah.
for all the main positions on the bridge.
You got the yellow. You got the yellow ladder.
Yeah, the yellow ladder. You got Spock's little hood that he looks into.
Oh yeah, Spock's little hood. You got you have the Scotty's little engine room, which is mostly just like colored walls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Kind of a mesh wall area.
You're gonna need some bio beds for McCoy.
You're gonna need you gotta get a dog that you put a little horn on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like $450,000.
Yeah, $450,000. That sounds pretty good.
But you can get that in space.
I'll take it.
Do you think they have mortgage on that thing?
Yeah, they absolutely have a mortgage on the Enterprise. That's why it's a 5-year mission. They have a 5-year mortgage.
They have to pay it off once they're done. Then they can, they can finally just go enjoy themselves driving around in space. They're just paying off that car payment.
That's what the fun of the movies is because the movies are all after they've completed their mortgage payments. So they've got the car title in there and a little, they've kind of let themselves go. But now they can really they don't have the stress of how am I going to pay for this shit?
That's right. And they don't have to worry every time they're in a space battle. It's like, oh man, I can't total this thing. It's like once it's paid for, it's not quite as
they hold the deed. They don't, it's not. Yeah, it's part of the dream.
This was going to be covered a lot in phase 2, and when that was canceled, we lose a lot of talk about the financing of the Enterprise. That's where that was actually a big arc in the first several episodes of phase 2. There was going to be lots of Commander Decker and Aaliyah smooching. And then there was going to be lots of talk and they're doing that. And Kirk is just sitting in the captain's chair. It's like, oh God, interest rates.
How am I going to pay for this?
I can't pay for an Enterprise A. I'm still paying for the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how that's canon. It's semi-canon.
They've started to go into it in Strange New Worlds. Thankfully, they're finally going back and filling in all the blank spots.
That's right.
By the old show, and they with Pike and all the young Uhura and young sexy Spock, they're
Baby Chekhov. I can't believe they brought in Baby Chekhov like that.
And
it's so hilarious. Yeah, he's running around the bridge, and he's like his
little
diaper.
baby.
Yeah, no, it's such a weird energy, but it also works. That's what I love about.
Yeah, they figured it out, and.
The episode where he gets a gun and it's this little inside joke and everybody's like, oh, it's Chekhov's gun, and it's so good. Yeah, it's a baby with a gun.
Yeah,
it's really not responsible.
They pulled out Walter Koenig, who I think is 95. He's not young, and had him sit with a little baby Chekhov, and they're like, oh, see. Hey, and it's say nuclear vessels, please. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. They were hoping they could de-age him. They were going to originally have him play the role with CGI, but
they were gonna
Paramount Plus budget. No way.
He's 88. I way overshot, but he is.
So he's young. You're saying he's very young. He's presidential age.
Yeah. He could be our next president. Yes.
If he wasn't from Russia.
Yeah, that's true.
You see, this is just to pull back the curtain a little bit, folks. Quest, the Adventure Game Podcast, wasn't always Quest, the Adventure Game Podcast, was it, Ben?
No, go for it, Jess.
This was our original pitch. When we got together, we were like, people don't hear enough of us every week. How could we give them more?
Yeah.
Without having to see us.
Yeah.
That was an important part of this. We originally thought our first idea for a podcast was, why don't we just play a Star Trek game every week and then talk about a Star Trek game? And who knows? That may someday, if this one ever peters out.
I mean, the reason that I remember thinking like, no, we're not going to do that, was because I was just like, most of them are bad.
There's a lot. Like if you pull up the list of Star Trek licenses in Moby Games, very quickly you can guess why that wouldn't be the best idea for a podcast. Like it really does. It's like, oh, there are 3 or 4 I want to play.
Yeah.
And then from there it quickly drops off.
And this is up at the top, though. I haven't played Judgment Rights, so maybe I should play that. See,
I haven't played Judgment Rights either.
But yeah, like I mean this. So you said this before we were recording, and now I'm gonna get you on tape saying it.
Oh no!
You said that you love this game, but
I love this game, but it's not one I particularly love going back to play. And I can tell you why. I mean, the space battles are a big part of it. It is such a downer. It just like the minute it has momentum and like it's like at maximum charm. Right. Like you're just like charmed by it. They throw one of these space battles at you and it's just like, ugh, kind of vibes. It's one of those that I like to remember fondly now that I've played it and don't need to go back and experience it again. This might be one that once you've done it once, hitting up a long play on YouTube is just as satisfying as playing it again yourself. Because again, the gameplay, I don't feel like lends itself necessarily to those aha moments that can make adventure games super fun. The puzzles feel like almost an afterthought at some level.
Which is, I think, fine.
That's fine.
Some of them are a little fiddly. The one in the computer world one, what was that one? That Old Devil Moon, which is an incredible title.
Perfect. No notes.
All these titles are good. I'm gonna read these off. Demon World, great title. Hijacked, great. Love's Labor, jeopardized, great. Another Fine Mess, that's the Harry Mudd one, great. Feathered Serpent, that's the Klingon one, that's great. That Old Devil Moon, wonderful. And Vengeance, all those are excellent titles.
If you told me that those were original series episodes, like in passing, I probably wouldn't question you. Like all those titles are spot on, and no notes there. But yeah, I love the. Yeah, you were saying the one with the puzzle in the one with the
computer one, which is that Old Devil Moon, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or like an ancient nuclear missile base is what you're resolving. Anyway,
right. But yeah, for me, the puzzles aren't the attraction. Certainly the space combat isn't what draws me to this game. I mean, for me, this is a game about feeling like I'm a kid again watching TOS for the first time, like that. And in that regard, I think it is a smashing success. Like, I mean, it is just a wonderful sense of nostalgia around it. Is it a great game if you have no nostalgia for Star Trek or the original series? I don't know. What do you think? If you came into this, maybe you're someone who's watched a little Star Trek here and there, but
I think it's fun. I think that its design is fun. It
looks great.
It does look great. Not counting that it has like kind of an early verb coin type thing that looks that is kludgy as a kludgy UI, but it's fine. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think it's a medium recommend if you're an adventure game fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is a must play recommend if you're a Star Trek fan. Because it's a labor of love.
Jeopardized.
And if you even like, I believe that if you play a labor of love of anything, even if you don't like, you're not a fan of whatever that subject is, it should still probably be pretty good. And I think this is like this. You could tell, I think, even if you weren't a Star Trek person, that a certain amount of care went into this game. They didn't want to screw this up.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Like this isn't a if we put Star Trek on it, it's going to sell minimum, like 50,000 copies or whatever. It feels like the people that made it love Star Trek the original series and wanted to make a game that feels just like it. And so I would think you can send us an email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com if you disagree. I would think that even if you don't know too much about the game, or the show, sorry, you would kind of feel like that warmth, that excitement over the franchise.
And that's exciting to think, having said all that, which I agree with completely, almost to a person, every fan will tell you Judgment Rights, which neither of us have played, is much better. I mean, it's like if this one gives off this sort of positive vibe, and Lee's just like, yeah, I mean, this is a really rewarding game in a lot of ways, made by people who clearly love TOS. It does make me curious to want to go forward now and play Judgment Rights, because I mean, if it's like universally considered, what's that?
I think we're gonna have to play it soon. Yeah.
We're gonna have to play it soon, Ben. We're gonna have to play it soon.
All right.
You heard it here first, gang. Soon, which could be anytime in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
We are going to play Judgment Rights.
All right. Well, I think that's our bow on it. So thank you so much for listening to Quest, the adventure game podcast. Again, you can follow me on Twitch, PS_Garrick, and Jess,
Decaf Jedi.
And we will and email us at questquestpodcast@gmail.com. We love emails. Also, please rate and review us. That's the only way. Well, I mean, people find out if you post about us on social and tell people on Discord. But give us
or
a
even
review.
in real life.
Yeah, just start screaming at a street corner. But anyway, please rate and review. That does actually help. I know it's annoying that everybody asks you as a podcast listener, but it does. I'm sorry. But join us next week as Jess and I discuss the exciting news that they've revived Telltale again to finally finish the Bone series. So you'll be there with us then next week.
Get boned.